The biggest challenge Content Allies has helped us solve is how to connect with higher value contexts that are otherwise harder to get engaged with. Because most are used to being sold pretty explicitly, just having a way that doesn't feel like a disguised sale is always super helpful to get to know folks as humans. I'm Landon Kortenbach. I'm the CFO for MSH, and I also oversee marketing and growth. If you think about MSH's business model, we're an intermediary trying to connect two parties. Those parties are typically an end customer, a larger company, or could be smaller or mid-size, that needs help putting talent into their organization to execute on objectives. The challenge we wanted to address by working with Content Allies, I think, was predominantly exposure for our CEO, and Content Allies just came with wonderful referrals, a great reputation, and I think all that kind of lived up to the hype as we went through the process over the first year. The biggest benefit Content Allies has delivered for us, I think outside of the discipline of what it takes to run a podcast, ultimately is how to build and sustain relationships through the podcast. That was probably the biggest piece for us, and kind of our aha moment was it helped us lean further into who we are and what we hold important at MSH, which ultimately is that human connection, bringing these folks to the table, and not just any old folks. Like, these were high quality people, and not just from a role perspective. I mean, just as humans, we met with just a tremendous number of people that were just good quality humans. And that's always the piece I look back on and go, that's pretty awesome, because ultimately those are the relationships you end up keeping for a period of time is typically with those really great people. We've produced more than 25 podcast episodes. We've probably got introduced to 50 plus high value contacts. One of the unintended benefits that I probably didn't think through was just the content treasure trove that a podcast provides, that you can kind of continue tapping into that. So the content pipeline that was created in doing these episodes, each episode you end up getting a number of social or other posts that are delivered to you that can be shared from both our company, MSH's personal brand on LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever our CEO can share it. I think more importantly, you can share those with the guests and have them kind of use that for their own branding, which is another, I guess it was a scene benefit, but it was one I probably didn't think too much about, was just how impactful this is for some guests looking to build their own brands, right? What makes Content Allies different from other podcast agencies? I can tell you our experience has been tremendous, and a big part of that is the personal touch. The way they handle guest scheduling is probably one of the big differentiators, and how involved they are there. And I think just general production quality is up there with some of the best. And so when you're kind of looking at the broader suite of things you need to run a podcast, it's a one-stop shop. There's really nowhere else to go if in fact you do need or want a podcast up and running. Where Content Allies does a really great job is bringing data to the party on what's working, what's not working, where things could be different. And so I think it's just having an open mind as you're working with Content Allies to do some of the things that they recommend. Would I recommend Content Allies? Absolutely, to anybody I needed to or would listen. I think they have a tremendous service. Yeah, I'll be a huge advocate for as long as they're around.